And it looks like that we're live. Welcome back to part three of the Halloween stream extravaganza. And I was just sort of cracking on with some. Uh, there's nobody here yet, but I'll just start talking anyway. I was just cracking on with some work in. I sculpted a background like a squash, like a butternut squash for um, I'll put the chat up here, getting everything ready. So I was just in Substance Painter, and I was essentially um, starting to work on the squash. Um, so I sculpted this. This is super low poly. So if we go and look at it in Blender, um, you should be able to see that on your screen now. So super low poly. So that's our. I sculpted it in Nomad. This is our high poly. Let's just stick another matte cap on there, and you'll be able to see the details a bit better. So I sculpted this in Nomad. It's not the most high poly sculpt in the world. And then I used Cozy Blanket to make the low poly. So this is also done on the iPad, super low poly. And then I used Engon Pro to create a wireframe. I had a lower poly version, but it was having some bake errors in Marmoset. So I left that off. And so I was in Substance Painter and I was starting to texture it, which I might carry on. But I thought it would be fun. After last night, we made the where is it? Open recent. We'll just save this one here. What are we going to call this? Squash. All right, and we ended up making the lantern last night. Um, and I ended up making a test render for it. So if we look at our lantern there, I also just ended up uploading it onto Sketchfab just for shits and gigs. Just going to turn this other light off now that my um, head has gone smaller. So this looks pretty cool. So if we just take it into shading mode, you might be able to get a better impression of it. Let's just turn off the scene lights in the scene world. So yeah, we got this cool lantern. I even want to tweak this IOR a little bit. Am I on the glass shader? I want to tweak the IOR on that. Yeah. So while I was working on this squash, I thought it would be a fun um, to make a maybe like a Jack-o' lantern or something like that. So we'll open up ZBrush. I'll just close Blender and Painter for now. And we'll open up ZBrush. And if anybody's joining, let's see what's our stream health doing. Good. Okay, so we'll open up ZBrush. And we'll start sculpting. So really, in ZBrush. I'll put my spooky glove on. And we'll crack on. Oh, I need to change what screen my pen display is linked to. And what we'll do is we'll just start with this and we'll get it more pumpkin-y shaped. Actually, let's maybe find a little reference. We'll go pumpkin. Pumpcon. Okay, so we're actually coming up with Jack-o'-lantern references straight away. Where is my pure ref? I cannot see it. Ah, it's there. Okay. Want something with a better shape like this. Okay. I'll put that over there. And we'll go back to ZBrush. And we'll start sculpting. I'll just get my microphone out of the way. So we want to turn a radial symmetry on, activate symmetry Y, and we'll just give this like, I think 10 counts. Scale our brush up. We just want to squash this down. Scale our brush up even more. And pull it out. And we're getting slowly getting a pumpkin shape. Pull it in here, scale it down. And pull it in here. Okay, we can change to our damn standard brush. My microphone is completely in the way. So, just give me a second. And let's just start eating away at our shapes here. I mean, this is pretty simple stuff, but it is really kind of fun. I just want to divide that a couple of times and delete the lower. Now we're on 130k polys. And what we really want to do, just going to move my tablet and let's get our clay brush, clay buildup, actually BCT clay tubes. This one doesn't grow as much. And we just want to get a little bit of texture. And if I look at the reference, which you can't see right now, it's more long lines. like that, more uniform. And just gently smoothing that off. I don't think anyone's here yet, but we'll just keep going. People can watch later if they want to watch the process. Okay. We'll just dig in there a little bit. Actually, it's more of a sharp. I kind of exaggerated a little bit. So what I might do, and get rid of any of these kind of artifacts. Yeah. So we are building up some texture. BCT. And I maybe might take this down to 5 and do every other one, just so it's not every single one looking the same. Very subtle stuff. Let's bring this back up to 10. Alrighty. Let's quickly mask this area off and invert it. We'll just turn our symmetry off. I'm going to grab the gizmo. I'm going to pull this up. Scale. Oh, scale. Why is that rotating? I don't want to rotate. I want to scale. This is scale. And then I want to rotate. Pull that up. Rotate. Scale. I want to scale it exactly like that. But we'll pull this out. Rotate. Okay. Now we can just smooth. Oh, we need to Dynamesh it. Let's bring our resolution up to about 500 and Dynamesh. And we should be able to smooth this out now. Okay. Welcome to whoever's just joined me. Just carrying on with the Halloween theme. I was making a squash and I'd forgotten that I was meant to be streaming the process. I did it mostly on the iPad and then I was bringing it in for texturing, and then I thought it was an opportunity because I wanted to do more than one vegetable, spooky vegetable. So I'm going to do a jack-o'-lantern. Welcome one and welcome all on a Sunday night. Just getting a little bit of, I don't even really know what that kind of detail should be called. Get rid of these squares, get my damn standard. Just a little bit of texture in here. And we're not going to spend too much time sculpting. I likely won't even hollow out the pumpkin, although maybe actually, I believe it's something to do with Dynamesh. So I'm not really happy with that, so I'm just gonna nudge it with the move brush, but I don't want it to lose its form. And we'll get the inflate brush and invert it. Oh, I'm gonna scale this area. Why is it doing that? What on earth is going on there? Oh well, just smooth that out for now. Okay, and let's just do something at the base, although nobody will likely ever look at the base. You never know. I put a lot of my assets online as game ready assets, so you don't know what people are going to do. Maybe they're going to smash the pumpkin. So just going to flatten this out. Oh, that's not flatten. Flatten, there we go. And then we'll get our dam standard. Actually, maybe we'll get the blob. Let's put our radial back on. Radial Y count 10. What happened there? I've messed up the gizmo, haven't I? Okay, so gizmo, unlock, object center, reset, blob. There we go. But not that much. Smooth it out. Smooth it out. That is not what the bottom of a pumpkin looks like. Maybe BCT. Feel free to drop any questions or suggestions in the chat. I feel like that's more like what it looks like, and also at the top. So I'm just gonna okay. And I think that is far too inset, so let's scale our brush and pull it down a wee bit. Not that much. Well, it kind of looks like some kind of mouth from a scary creature. All right, that's not what the bottom of a pumpkin looks like. Anyway, let's do something similar up here. And let's Dynamesh it. And let's have a look at our... Oh yeah. It's looking okay. All right. I feel like this could do with a little bit of love. Let's turn our radial off. Flatten. Dam standard, make it a bit smaller. And I know this is not what they really look like, but there is also some texture that we want to get, some normal detail that we want to get into here. So I might go to B, C, clay build-up, clay tubes constant. Yeah, maybe that one. And maybe a bit of a fatter brush, just want some Nothing hectic. Just some details for later to drive our curvature so we can use procedural materials. I'm not going for realism here because it is going to be... I actually did think about making a jack-o'-lantern and then photo scanning it, which would have been ace, but I decided that chores and having a relax on the weekend was a better use of my time. Although if you want to see me chopping fruit, I did do a video last December where I photo scanned, and this actually caused a bit of a debate on Reddit, what we in New Zealand call a pawpaw, but the rest of the world call a papaya. And yeah, so that's that was quite, like they say, controversy is sometimes good because it brought a lot more attention to my post, and I actually sold a few on Sketchfab. By the way, if you were here last night and I'll just go into display capture. I'll look at my models. And this is my Sketchfab member since May 20th, 2018. 48 models. I think if I click on this button, you see which order I put them up in. So the very first model I uploaded was a cigarette and an ashtray, way back when. And then a trumpet. And I'm quite proud of some of these actually. These wicker baskets were quite a big step up in modeling for me and texturing. So I think it's this one. But if you have a look at it, I was really super proud because I figured out, when did I upload this? So 4 years ago. Pretty sure it's this one. It might be the other one. No, it's definitely the other one. Okay. Let's have a look at this. I figured out how to use opacity maps, and I figured it in Substance Painter, and I figured it out on my own, and I was pretty proud. So this, like the lantern that we made yesterday, if you put a light on it, you can actually see through there. You can see through. And that's all done by texture. So if we look at the wireframe of this, and I was really proud with the normal maps and everything. So if we look at the light changing on the... So if we look at the wireframe, it's probably not the best wireframe in the world, but it's pretty low poly. And then if we look at the final render, it looks a lot higher poly because of that extra depth that you get from those. And if you just see, like, there's just you can see through those empty space there because there's no actual geometry. It's just an inside and an outside. Super proud of that one. Anyway, I did go and upload my lantern from that we made over the last couple of streams, in the hope that somebody might buy it before Halloween, but still so far no dice. But the thing is when you make something like that, just stick it online, put a price on it. Doesn't need to be a big price. People, it's there now. I don't have to touch it again, and somebody might spend $3.99 on it, and in some cases 10 people might spend $3.99, and then I would have made $40 for something that didn't have to go online. Same goes for this palm reader here. This is a vending machine I made as a practice in plasticity. And I was quite proud of this one, although you can see the handprints on the palm reader. The palm reader is just a default. It comes with the blend file, so you can actually change what's on the screen. It's meant to be a drinks vending machine, actually. Pretty happy with this detail here. I mean, it doesn't look that great in this form, but if we look at our wireframe, this is all done with Ngon Pro, and the AO, and there's barely any artifacts down there. So if we look at the final render, I mean, there's a little bit of aliasing and stuff like that. But we've got the micro details on the plastic and everything, so it's actually a pretty cool asset. And I might have gone a bit overboard with the drips on the side. Biggest selling asset of all time. What will we be looking at? This guy here. Well, no, not the biggest selling asset. This one's just made me the most money because I've got a high price on it because I spend a lot of time on it. So this goes for $25. I think I've sold about... I've also got it on a subscription service. It's available on a subscription service in a slightly different form. But it's... This one was a really big learning curve for me because the majority of it, if we look at the UVs, I don't know if we can look at the UV map. UV checker. I don't think we can actually look at the UV map. How do you do that? Oh, 3D plus 2D. And then if we go to base color, what? Oh, material. We're going to look at material. Old wood. See that? Everything on here is just from the wood. All the wood is one texture. And I've just used all of these, and then I've got these. And if we look at the normal map, you can see that there. If we look at the emission, oh, there's no emission. If we look at the roughness, that might be a better. And then if we look at our metal, the trim sheet isn't actually in there. If we look at, might be material 0. Yeah, the metal is all one texture. So if we look at the base color, it's all one texture. So that's just... So this was a big learning thing for me. So I just have basically 2 textures, wood and metal, and everything's carefully placed. So if this was like an unwrapped model, if this was a totally unwrapped model where it was just like every panel was one bit of pixel, it wouldn't be nearly as high detail, but you can go quite far in and see that the details. And what I did is, you can see these nail details here, just some careful flipping around and scaling. So not everything's to scale, but you can see these two are the same, which is actually a bit of repetition that I didn't pick up on before, but you can see that's just a flipped version of that. And if we look at the wireframe here, there's no actual real geometry. It's just the geometry of the very simple geometry. See? Very simple geometry. And then the final render, it looks like there's a lot more geometry than there actually is. So this was actually quite a big learning process for me. But this one's made me quite a bit. This one's made me a few $100s. And actually, a couple of different game studios have paid for it, so I'll be looking out for that. That would be quite exciting. I probably shouldn't say who. I'm not sure what my legal... You can see this one is disabled. This is a really shit scan I did of a air conditioning remote. And these scans here are much, much better. But here's the lantern that we did. And that was, yeah, you know, just whack it online, see what comes of it. I've been whacking things online for 4 years. And now I'm making a nice little chunk of change every month from doing that. So back in ZBrush, And that boring speech seems to get rid of everybody. So see you later and welcome back when you come back. All right, let's turn our radio back on. I just want to get a little bit more definition in here. And then we can just start working on making it into a jack-o'-lantern. So let's turn our radio off, get it into front mode. And let me see if I can find a nice reference. I think something like that. Alrighty. We're at 1 million polys. Let's maybe divide it once and delete the lower. No, that's gone way too high. Okay. I'm gonna turn the oh, that's why that was happening. It was the symmetry. Actually, we want to turn X symmetry on, maybe. No. Oh yeah, maybe. No, I'll do one by one. And little nose. And I think the easiest way to do this will be just to do a smile. Like that. Maybe even with a bit more. And then we can just eat away at it. Grow mask, shrink mask, sharpen mask. Something that I always do. And then we just give that a bit more of a sharp cut. And sharp cut, but not so much. And let's get our teeth in here. Do I want to use an alpha for this maybe? Like a square. Like that one. I didn't know that you can't use an alpha on a mask brush. This should be alright though. Just across like that. Ooar. Welcome back, whoever you are. And invert that. Deflate it. Oh, and we missed a bit. And that one doesn't quite look right. That's starting to look more like something that I would imagine a jack-o'-lantern looks like. Shrink mask, grow mask, sharpen mask. There we go. Just get some sharper edges. I don't know if that's a technique. Deflate it. Deflate it again. Okay. I don't know if that was the right way of doing things, so let's maybe try the gizmo. Unlock it. That might be more like it. Let's Dynamesh that. Just to anybody that's joined, just making the jack-o'-lantern after we made our lantern. Just want to maybe get our trim dynamic. Small one. And just give this some edges like somebody was hacking away at it with a knife. So we'll get the trim edge down. Am I? We got a bit of Swiss cheese in there. Hope not. Let's just close holes. Yep. Okay. Average view duration sitting at 420. Blaze it. And maybe once we've done this, because I'll probably make a smart material for the squash, and then I'll apply it to the pumpkin with some different colorations to save time. And then around that, let's just do a clay polish on the whole thing. Yep. Starting to get a little bit more don't want to go too crazy with this because it's going to be a background asset. So this one doesn't necessarily need to be hollow. It just needs to be illuminated. Now I'm not really, I think I need to get the inflate brush out in a couple of these places and just, yeah. This is a bit thin, this geometry, so we're just going to fatten it out and do that. And I think the same goes for over here. We don't want these Swiss cheese. And I think that kind of is actually even adding an effect that I was trying to go for. I think this was fine, but we'll do all the edges with the inflate brush just to make sure we didn't lose any. Oh, and around the mouth. Move that out. Okay. Let's just bring this down a little bit. If you can see this little sort of like crease here, when I'm inflating it out, that's where the geometry is starting to get weak. And if you remesh it a lot, what will happen is the whole geometry will start turning into Swiss cheese or have lots of holes in it, which is not what you want. You want manifold geometry in most cases. Okay. Just one moment. And I'm back. So apologies there. Get the small camera on and we'll keep going. Okay, so this is another thin spot, so we need to pay special attention to this. And once we get this kind of fixed up, we can make it look like okay. We're doing the same in there. Okay. Smooth around the edges. And let's Dynamesh that. Add a higher resolution. And smooth it out. And it's starting to look a lot better already. Okay. Do we want our jack-o'-lantern to have some kind of eyebrows? We could even, oh, that's a bit much. We could even make it talk with OBS. Okay. I'm gonna get my flatten brush out and just try and get rid of some of the ugliness around here. That's a technical term, ugliness. And same with here. Although this might be a little bit more. There we go. So I just had a lovely falafel for dinner. Homemade. Made it kebab shop style, wrapped in tinfoil. Alrighty. Kind of got a jack-o'-lantern. What do I want to do? Do I want it to be... Let's just bring shrink mask, grow, shrink, sharpen. Let's just get our tool and bring that further back in. Whoop. And scale it in. So we can actually put a light in here. Maybe. Shrink, 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 sharpen. Shrink, 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 sharpen. No, that's not what I want. Oh well. I'll just undo that for now. Okay. And let's just see this with a different matte cap. Okay. We can actually, if we go into render, we can go preview AO and we can just mess with that intensity slider, quality, and this gives us a bit of a better idea what it's going to look like. I have no idea what happened here. We'll just ride that one out. Let's Dynamesh it and these two holes as well. Okay. I think let's retopo this and then get our materials, because then we're going to have to make a smart material for this, and then we can apply it to our other mesh. So let's subtool, duplicate, and let's just first of all turn this one off. Z remesh this. Where's geometry, Z remesher, adapt, keep creases. And let's just do this the same. It's only 1.7 million poly, so it shouldn't take too long. There's nobody here right now, but thanks for everybody that joined, and thanks to everybody watching later. Very much appreciate your support. I'll be putting all of these assets up on the Patreon for paid up members, which I will be selling some of the assets on the Patreon elsewhere, but if you're a member of the Patreon, certain assets that I make will be completely for free, and there's already a few asset packs up there. All right, so that's been Z Remesh. Let's have a look at our topology. Okay, we got some funky stuff here. Have we got holes? Yeah, it looks like we do. Close holes. Auto groups. And we probably want to do that to our high poly as well if there are holes. Close holes. F. Close holes. Auto groups. Just do not like that. There we go. Auto groups. Close holes. Auto groups. Okay. And we'll just, so the way that we project it is we make this the active one. We make that the visible one, we make that the active one. We make our visible count right down to 2. And then we go down to project here and just go project all. that. Oh. Project all. And we just projected our low poly onto our high poly, which is still giving us some funky stuff here. But let's, now we need to kind of fix this on our high poly before we projected our high poly onto our low poly. Let's just go clay polish. Let's go back a few steps. Close holes. And let's just dynamesh this at a higher resolution. Okay. Move that one up. And this is our low poly. So I want to turn that off. Have that one active. And am I doing this the wrong way around? Is that our low poly? Yes. And this is our high poly. And let's take our Z-remesher down to half. Maintain increases. And let's do that again. Down to 81K. Down to 47K. Now let's turn this guy back on. Select him. And project all. Now our low poly should be really matching our high poly. And I reckon one more round of that. We'll get it down to like, I don't know, 10K polys. Between 10 and 20. One more. Okay. Project all. And I reckon we're ready to decimate. So we're on 14K polys. There is still some issues over here, but effort, vegetables aren't perfect. So let's go to Z plugin Decimation master. Pre-process current completed. Z plugin. Actually, we can probably just find it down here. Decimate current 20%. Down to 5k. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, and we've been streaming for about an hour, and about 20 minutes of that was me rambling. So let's export this to Blender and UV it. I prefer to do my UVs in Blender. So we'll go down to Z plugin. Turn off decimation, turn off ambient occlusion, turn off decimation master. FBX export imports. All, no, just visible. And we'll export this as we'll make a new folder. New folder, we're going to call this Pumpkin Low. And a new folder called Pumpkin. I even think it kind of looks cool as a low poly asset. However, so that's been exported, and then let's just export the high poly version for our baking. Z plugin, FBX export. We'll call this Pumpkin High. Save. This one's going to take a little bit longer, so we'll open up Blender in the meantime. Still writing the file. We'll get rid of everything here. We'll open our export. No, import. No, did Blender just crash on import OBJ? What the fuck? What the absolute fuck, guys? So ZBrush has been written. And Blender's not wanting to open up at all, as sometimes happens from time to time. So I'm going to open up the Blender launcher, and we'll just use an older version of Blender. Favorites, Blender 3.51 stable. Is that going to open? No, this is like a restart computer, Blender not working scenario. Let me just see if I can Control Alt Delete and see if there's any Blender tasks running. No, just the Blender. I wonder if Blender 2.79 would open for shits and gigs. No, none of them want to launch right now. Something's gone wrong. So let's just UV it in here. Is it under plugins? I don't really do UV master. It's just unwrap, turn symmetry off. Just unwrap it. No, but that's not what we want to unwrap. We want to unwrap the... Well, this is no good, guys. I'll click on wait for program to result. Maybe if I just go to Substance Painter and we'll just do an auto unwrap on the ZBrush is ZBrush is doing its thing, but it's trying to unwrap 2.8 million polys, so that might take... Why is Blender not working? Run as administrator. Let's try that. Yes. Still doesn't want to work. And I don't want to cancel the stream, guys, so... What we'll do is wait for... What if I tried to open a Blender file from the file browser? I wonder if that will work. No. Okay. Did I export both of those? Let's just do it everything in Substance. So open, hang on, new. Where's the pumpkin folder? Oh, yep, they're both there. So open the pumpkin low. Auto unwrap. Let's just use the auto unwrap, and it's a little bit janky, but fuck it. Okay. Let's see what our pumpkin looks like. Okay. And let's bake mesh maps. Use our high poly. If you can see that. Okay. It's importing our high poly. Well, ZBrush is still being, and this does have fairly good visualizer. It has improved a lot, and I'm also on not the latest. I'm on the Steam edition, so it's not the latest version. Let's get rid of some of those. Can we paint the mesh in this? Okay. We'll make these 2K. Anti-aliasing times 4. And I don't even know what the UVs look like, so We'll see how this goes, guys. We'll give it a red hot go. Bake selected textures. I don't really rate return to painting mode. Ah, that's okay. All right. Let's texture this guy. Start with a fill layer. Choose a pumpkin type color off screen. And just gonna okay. Let's tone that down a wee bit. Not sure if that bake is exactly how I wanted it to go. Oh well, it's just a prop for a scene, so okay, add another fill layer. Choose a different pumpkin-y color off screen. And we'll just try and, I think this needs to be a little bit more green, a little darker. And we'll just use a mask filter. Cavities, dirt cavities. And we'll make that bigger level. Contrast. Okay. It's not exactly how we want it to go, but what we'll do is we'll just add a filter to this. And we'll call it a slope blur. Intensity, bring that up. Reduce the detail of it. And honestly, ZBrush is still trying to unwrap that 2 million poly mesh. This didn't turn out too bad for an auto unwrap. I can only see that one artifact over here. And it's just a mess around, really. Okay, add another fill layer. I think we want to bring this one down below this. Actually, let's just duplicate this one. Control D, darken the color, and actually we'll make the base color a gradient. Get rid of this kind of gradient, old school. Okay, and we will give it 3 shades of orange. A more reddy one, and a paler one, almost yellow. And then we'll drive this with a grunge. Oh. Something like that. Nope. Something like that. Nope. Actually, let's make this triplanar projection. Yeah, something like that, but we really want color 2 position. So we have it down. We want to reduce the intensity of this. And make this one a bit more of a greeny color. But reduce its intensity as well. It's starting to look a little bit like an apple. And let's do something similar for the... No, not for now. Let's add another fill layer. And let's work on the roughness quickly. We'll turn off color, height, normal, roughness. And we will get a mask map like surface rust. Actually, we'll make this triplanar. Rust. And actually, we'll add a fill to this. Get rid of all of these. Choose that rust. Okay, starting to get some kind of level of details in here. Okay, and what we want to really do is on top of that add a levels, and then we can really we want to use roughness as the driving force. We should be really able to dial some of that roughness in. Okay, because I want to use this as a smart material for my squash as well. Okay. I'm not too stoked with the colors. Welcome, everybody. Hey E0, hey Muller. I just had to tell mine to go to bed as well, so I know how it goes. Thanks for joining. And so what we've been doing is we've been working in ZBrush. I pressed unwrap on the wrong thingo, and you can see that it's unwrapping right now. A 2 million poly thing, so I was supposed to be unwrapping the other one. So what I just did an auto unwrap in Substance Painter instead. So I like the fact that this is a base roughness. And what we want to do with this roughness layer up here, so we want to come down here and hang on, blending options, apply opacity to all, apply blending mode to all channels, apply opacity mode to all channels. So then we want to add another fill on top of that. No, on top of this. Add a fill. Turn off everything bar the roughness. And I want to get a little bit more. Let's just go apply opacity to all channels. Apply both to all channels. And I should be getting multiply. We're going to make this multiply. No. Darken. Let's get rid of that fill. Okay, but I do want to get some more roughness in the crevices. So we're going to add another fill layer. And add a fill to this. Apply opacity to all channels. Turn off the color height. Blending. And then I should be seeing multiply. I don't understand why that works sometimes, but it doesn't work other times. It's just one of those things. Sorry I didn't see your message straight away, Marla. Anyway, we're only going to be dealing with the crevices, so it shouldn't matter too much. So what we want is to apply a dirt cavities maybe to this. Oh, no, now it's starting to work. Let's just see if we can visualize it by turning the color on. Okay. Turn the color on that fill. Make it bright red. This is just for visualization, for debugging. And then with our mask, we want to expand the level out like that. And it's a bit speckly and spockly. So we'll add a filter. Above the sharpen, and we'll call this a slope blur as well. And we'll actually make the intensity divider much higher. And something like that. And we'll turn our color off. Turn our color off here. Actually, maybe a little bit of color can do in there, but we'll sample a darker orange. And then we'll darken it. And And the roughness needs to be rough. On here, actually, the roughness needs to be rough. And starting to look okay. So let's just bring this down here. Started with the orange, added in some texture, added in some green, added in some roughness, and added in some more roughness. I really want to get to the color of this. What happens if we do multiply? Let's just cycle through the modes. I think it doesn't really do anything if we do it on here. Let's cycle through the modes on here. That's nice and subtle. What's that overlay? Okay, so let's look at our great. Let's get a tiny little bit of height detail in there. And I think we'll use a very similar technique. Add a fill layer, add a fill to that, turn off everything except heights. Turn off everything except heights. Make it a triplanar projection. And we'll look at our different grunges. Grunge brush. Concrete dirty. Nope. Definitely not. Let's scale in our heights to start with. Now I want something a bit more subtle. Like that. And then I think if we add a levels to that from our height, we can just really rein it in. Don't want too much texture. Really even less than that. And a little bit more detail. More detail, but less texture. And then we'll just okay. And then we can get a paint layer. And we can choose a brush. Some kind of, and we'll make the paint layer, we'll sample a green off screen. Maybe something like this. Hang on. Yeah, something like this. We'll give it a little bit of indented height. Ever so slightly. And roughness, more roughness, darker color. It's only stylized. And once we're done, and actually we can make it a lighter color, even lighter still. And it might look like I'm just really not doing a lot here. But what we'll do is we'll add a filter to it. I might just apply that to the base as well. Ever so slightly. And let's just add a filter, float blur. Maybe not that intense. Intensity divided 10. Let's just take some of the color out of it. And make sure that we've got the roughness, metallic, and everything turned off. We add some of the color back in so the roughness can stay in there. And I think that's it. We've got our everything up to here, apart from the paint layer, is going to be our smart material. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Get rid of the fill layer. I wanted a folder. And I'm going to name this folder Pumpkin Skin. And we're going to go add we're going to make it a smart material. Create smart material. And I'll just rename that Pumpkin Skin. And then I put it brackets PJ for my initials. And the reason I do that is when I'm searching for smart materials, I've got a bunch saved somewhere and it's not all in this install. But we go over to smart materials. If I type in PJ, these are all of the different smart materials I've made. So if I turn that off, no idea why that's not working. Oh, it's because it's based on vertex colors. So we'll just go remove. Hang on, color selection. We'll just remove that. Remove mask. There we go, a wooden pumpkin. Okay, so now that we've got our smart material, we can save this as pumpkin. And I'll work more on this pumpkin later. Get some light in the eyes or whatever. But we'll open our squash now. We'll save this. And I was starting to work on a material in a similar way. I'll just delete everything. We'll grab our pumpkin smart material. And boom. Done. All we need to do is add a paint layer, and I don't even think that we need to do that because this is going to be a background asset, but let's just do it anyway. We'll make this green, base color green, sample a green off screen, like a yellowy green. Go over to our brushes, and I wonder if we've got the same brush. No. Artistic soft fingers. That might work. That's what we were using before. And increase the roughness, decrease the height to give it a little bit of normal detail. Oh, actually, that's kind of cool. Decrease the height. And let's just increase the jitter or the rotation on this. Where is it? Position jitter. And I want a bit more of a green in there. Darker, greener, darker. Oh. And that's enough. And we'll add a bit to the bottom. And if it looks different in this scene here, it's because I'm using a LUT. So if we go over here, I actually think I bought this. It's a UE4 LUT, and we've got different ASUS LUTs. I could turn it off, and we've got our profile, but I'm going to use this. I think I'll use the UE4 LUT. Okay, so let's just add our slope blur to this one. Paint layer. Increase the intensity divider. Increase the intensity. To maybe 100. There we go. And then let's just decrease the color. Okay, we've got a squash now. So those are two props for the Halloween scene. We're on the 29th. We've already made the lantern. As you can see, here, that was last night's stream and the night before. I've already put it online for sale. And yeah, that's basically where we are. And I'll probably just wrap up for tonight and call this one a day. And for the next stream, I think we'll start developing a scene, a little bit more of a scene. If you can see the thumbnail for this video, that was a little test render I did last night, and yeah, we'll finish off the Halloween one by building up a scene with the props that we've made. Maybe use some older props that I've made, and get something cool going. All right, well, thanks for joining, guys, and appreciate you all being here. A black cat. Now you've got me wanting to sculpt a black cat. I think a black cat's not a bad idea. Maybe how can we put a twist on it? I'll have a think, but we can definitely put a twist on it. You've actually kind of got me going. I might even just close ZBrush and let's sculpt a cat head quickly and see if we can come up with any ideas. So I'm just going to get a cat head reference up. I was about to close the stream, but F it. That's a great idea. Black cat. All right. Let's get ZBrush up. I'm just going to save this. Squash. No, that's okay. I was kind of just well, the reason I started the stream is because I'd already sculpted this on the iPad, and then I thought, oh, I was making the material for it. I better, stream it because it's part of the Halloween project, and it's great to have ideas pop up. So I've got a bit of a problem though, which is that all my software is not loading at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop streaming for 5 minutes. I'm going to restart my computer, and we'll get back because both ZBrush and Blenders are not working. So if you hang tight, I'll be back in 5. All right. Tschüss.